favorite ESPN Syracuse sports talk shows on QSportsTalk.com. Tomorrow's broadcasting stars today. Broadcasting live from the campus of Syracuse University. This is Newhouse Afternoon.
Welcome to Newhouse Afternoon on ESPN 97.7 and on Twitch at QSportsTalk.com. My name is Cedric Derecho, and I'm here with Brooke Kilgore.
Hey.
Shout out to Teddy Caputo, who is not with us today. He is out of town. It's a cold day in Syracuse, but I would like to imagine Teddy is somewhere warmer.
I hope so, too. You know, a lot of people are in Florida, Arizona. They're taking in the sun, enjoying it, and it's been a weird 30-degree to 70-degree kind of climax here. So
maybe Teddy is in Arizona, where his Cardinals are first place in the NFC West.
That would be nice. Headed home there for Thanksgiving break very soon, so super pumped. I'll let you know if I see him.
Yeah, Brooke is from Arizona as well, guys. So we have a lot to talk about, starting with Syracuse football. Later on in the show, we'll get to the NFL, we'll get to the NBA, NHL, and more Syracuse sports. But the slim hopes that Syracuse had for an ACC championship and even a CFP appearance, I mean, those were long shots. We knew that coming in. But they're squashed now.
Yes, it was very devastating to see that Boston College loss, 37-31. Was hoping to see another like Virginia Tech kind of let's push it to overtime. Let's see if we can make that happen. But that last-second onside kick call against Fadil Diggs there at the end, that was just devastating, and you could just see it at the end. Can we also talk about what Fran Brown said in the post-game conference? Cedric, did you see that?
I did not. No.
You did not.
Fill me in.
He basically stated that after a loss, in some sense, he does not deserve to shower. He does not shower probably until the next morning so he can sit in that loss and let it happen and let it all sink in. And I don't know about you, but I take a shower every single night. So that would not be happening. If I lose, I need to wash it all off. We need to restart. We need to be clean. But what do you feel? How do you feel about that?
That is interesting.
Isn't it?
I don't know if I've ever heard a coach take that approach before.
No, I don't know. But hopefully his player, the football players maybe smell a little bit worse right after a game, but I'm not sure how it would feel going into my bed dirty like that.
It's like literally wallowing in the sorrow of the L there.
It's kind of symbolic, like Fran Brown seems like a very symbolic kind of person, so we'll let him have that one. But yeah, so not the only storyline coming out of that game, but yes, definitely a devastating loss and a heartbreaking loss at that. But let's talk a little bit about Kyle McCord. He went 31 for 48 completions, 392 yards. It's still incredible to see that even in a loss like that, offense was performing but not doing their great. He's still about to hit 400 yards.
Yeah, I mean, he's only had one game where he hasn't passed for 300 yards this season. He's putting up numbers. I mean, yes, he's thrown 12 interceptions on the year, but he didn't have a turnover last week.
No.
And he's putting up numbers that no Syracuse quarterback has ever put up before. Perhaps.
Really?
So,
yeah. Well, he's about to move into, he just moved into second place, in the number of passing categories on Syracuse's single season record list last week, which I don't know. I think the story for me is, yes, we see disappointing offensive and defensive performances, but Kyle McCord, besides, that 5 interception game against Pitt, seems to perform relatively well and still seems to exceed. It's kind of like a hidden gem, a diamond in the rough there. You seem to overlook the amount of passing yards that he, records every single game, but it still seems to be phenomenal even in the wake of a devastating game like that.
Yeah, I mean, his draft stock definitely took a hit in the Pitt game.
Yes,
5
definitely.
interceptions there. Honestly, though, I think the biggest story here is how they were gashed on the ground. I mean, look, Boston College only had 65 yards passing on 13 attempts. 2 of those were passing touchdowns, but they allowed 331 yards on the ground on 43 carries, not counting the quarterback sacks, and that's something that cannot happen. We've discussed the run defense before on this show, and yeah, there's no way around it. They just got crushed in the trenches.
Seriously, and I mean, Kai Robichaux for Boston College comes out with over half of those rushing yards that you just mentioned, 198 off 28 attempts with 2 touchdowns. That's kind of what we saw out of LaQuint Allen there a little bit. He recorded 2 touchdowns as well, about 50-ish yards if I remember correctly. So it's just interesting to see that Syracuse's defense didn't really come out to play as much as we would like to. Yes, Boston College, I believe, was anticipating Kyle McCord to make a lot of passing plays, but I don't think Syracuse was expecting a rush defense like Boston College had.
I mean, they've allowed 30-plus in their last several games. I mean, they allowed 40-plus against Pitt.
Yes.
So, the defense has had their struggles throughout the season. On the bright side, Aronde Gadsden came back.
Yep.
He came back. 9 catches, 114 yards, and a touchdown. Jackson Meeks was also pretty good on the day as well. 7 catches for 105 yards. And so the Syracuse receivers are doing their jobs. Kyle McCord did his job last week. the special teams, they really struggled in the beginning of the year, and then they've come on. Unfortunately, this is the one shootout game that Syracuse didn't get this season.
Definitely, and I do want to jump back to Rondé Gadsden really quickly. There's an interesting stat here. Under the Dino Babers era in the season of 2022, he had about 35 receptions, 622 yards with 6 touchdowns. That was through, the whole amount of time that he played. But now we're in 23, 45 receptions, 586 yards for 4 touchdowns. And we're still, kind of going through the regular season right now. It's just astounding to see. I mean, he has been a little bit quiet. We talked about that in previous shows where is Rondé? Meeks is kind of taking more. Pena, too. Where is Pena? I feel like I haven't seen him on the record, the stats list in a little bit of a while, making a statement like he was earlier in the season. But Rondé has just kind of come out of nowhere, at least in my opinion. He's doing a lot better, finding, McCord finding him, staying open, and that incredible touchdown pass that kind of blew up everywhere with the one-handed catch to pushing off his defender in the end zone. That was just incredible to watch.
Yeah, no, I mean, he is an NFL talent, which is why every time you see him this season with a dud of a game, it's disappointing.
Yes, it is, definitely. But yeah, let's turn it over now. SU versus Cal. Now, this game, means something to me. I'm from California. I went to a lot of Cal Berkeley games, especially when my University of Washington Huskies would go play there. And, Pac-12 is no longer existent. They're now in the ACC. So it's definitely interesting to see. My parents are actually going to be there for that game. They're flying back to see it. So I'm a little jealous of it. But it's really going to be interesting. Syracuse has not visited Cal since 1968. And this will also mark the furthest game that Syracuse will have to travel for, 2,798 miles. The farthest that they went last time, 1989, when the Orange played Louisville in Tokyo. Isn't that interesting? They're going across the country to play.
We're just going to see this more and more with the realignment of the conferences here in college football. I mean, the biggest question coming into this game is, can the Orange bounce back? I still think that there's optimism with this team. I mean, the team is still buying in. The Dart mentality is still very much there with Fran Brown. His players go all in. For him. I still think this is a team that can finish with 8 wins on the season. I'm going to hold off on calling that Miami game because it's tough. But I think, again, Syracuse is being disrespected with the analytics here. The ESPN analytics only give them a 22% chance to win on the road. Perhaps they're taking that long distance into account. But when you look at the numbers here, Fernando Mendoza, the Cal quarterback, he is putting up big-time numbers. I mean, the Golden Bears, they have a high-flying aerial attack that's similar to the Syracuse game. I mean, Mendoza, 385 yards last week in a shootout win against Wake Forest. And he's also a threat, running the ball. 51 yards and a score.
Exactly. This is just going to challenge Syracuse's defensive lines again. Yes, you had a problem with the rush defense at Boston College. What are you going to do now that you have Fernando Mendoza putting up career-high numbers against, Oregon State, Wake Forest, like you just mentioned? I mean, that was, 385 and 364? That about rivals Kyle McCord there. So you basically have a McCord on the other side of the field right now. What are they going to do to adjust, especially with a devastating rush defensive performance last week?
The secondary is going to have to play better.
Yep, exactly.
Secondary is going to have to play better, but I think we're in for another shootout game. I mean, Syracuse has a knack for being in these exciting, high-scoring ball games with a lot of passing yards. This is going to be no different. They've gotten the better part of most of those shootout games all season. They didn't get the better of it last time out. The question is, can they get the win this time?
I have faith. Again, it just depends on will Fran Brown shower before the game. We'll see. No, messing with you there. But it's going to be, I think I agree, it's going to be a bit of a shootout. Syracuse just isn't really a first quarter team. And it's going to be hard because if you're not playing up to par with, in that first quarter, making a statement early, you're going to fall behind again. And we see this trend constantly every single game where Syracuse has to come climbing back out of that hole they dug themselves. I mean, Kyle McCord, 61.3% completion rate for 742 yards. He's thrown 4 touchdowns, 3 interceptions in the first 9 first quarters that he's played in a Syracuse orange jersey. So I'm hoping that they come out in the first quarter strong, defiant. They're going to be a little tired just because the time difference is now 2 hours, not as much as it was when they played Stanford. Stanford was definitely...
Should be 3 hours, right? West Coast.
Well, actually, now the daylight savings time has happened. It's 2 hours, which is really nice. So Or is it? I don't know. Arizona doesn't actually follow daylight savings time, so I could be wrong
Arizona
there.
doesn't, but I think California does.
It should, but, in some sense, they're still going to be tired in some way because it should be, 3 p.m. game. It's technically 5, 6 p.m. over here. So we're going to see how they come out to play, but I'm really hoping that first quarter is just different than the rest.
Now, this will be our last show for a while.
Yes.
We're not back on the air for another 3 weeks, and so we're going to do our little Thanksgiving segment today, a couple weeks early, 2 weeks early. We're going to list the players, as a matter of fact, that Syracuse football can be thankful for. So, Brooke, I'll start with you. Who's a player that Syracuse football can be thankful for?
That's a great question. I'm going to go with Aronde Gadsden. I'm seeing a lot more potential out of him, kind of waiting a little bit. We don't see as much of him early on in the season. Maybe he was a secret weapon. They just didn't want to hit him just to make teams think he wasn't there. And then boom, out of nowhere, he comes and has a great offensive performance, especially throughout these past 9 games. So I think they should be thankful for him, especially now that they have such a strong wide receiver core. They just notched another one on there.
Of course, I got to go with Kyle McCord. How could you not?
Yep.
How could you not? I mean, as cliche as that is, for all of the praise that he gets just as much, if not more, criticism. But the fact of the matter is, if not for Kyle McCord, Syracuse would not be 6-3 right now.
No, they would not. I didn't want to say Kyle McCord because that was just going to be exactly what you said, and I didn't want to, double whammy there. So I felt like I had to go with Aronde, but I'm glad that you brought him up because
it's the arm of McCord that's keeping them in these games, putting up a lot of points. And, it'll be interesting. I still do think this is a team that can finish with 8 wins on the year.
It's also going to be a test to see if, Kyle McCord can move outside the pocket, work the scrambles that he may have to go through, because defensive line Xavier Carlton for the Golden Bears, 2 sacks last week to give him a team best of 9 on the season. He's one of 9 players in the country with at least 3 games this season with multiple sacks. So it's going to be up to McCord to make those smart decisions, not just throw the easy ball, which may get picked off, which we saw a lot in Pitt, not making great decisions when he was pressured, but it's kind of going to fall on him as well. So hopefully your thankfulness towards him will have some impact on him on Saturday.
All right. After this short 4-minute break, we'll be back with NFL Talk. You are listening to Newhouse Afternoon on ESPN 97.7. Watch us on Twitch at qsportstalk.com. I'm actually going to check that right now. I'm curious now. Does California follow daylight savings time?
I feel like because Arizona was an hour ahead, or what? No, wasn't. They were 3. Wait, I don't even know daylight savings time. That's really embarrassing.
When does daylight savings time end in California? No, they follow it. It seems like.
So more so, how many hours behind are they?
Oh, technically daylight savings is in the spring. This is fall back. Yeah, 3 hours ahead.
Yeah. So
Arizona's 2 right now, but it's normally 3, right?
Yes. Actually, I don't know. I don't like daylight savings time. We don't need it.
Arizona doesn't follow mountain time, right?
No, they don't.
That's the states east of it that follow.
No, they are on Mountain Standard. Wait.
Arizona's in Mountain Standard time?
Guys, you can tell I pay attention to time zones and geography.
Is Arizona PST or MST?
It's not Pacific time, I know that.
Arizona
Mountain Standard.
is on Mountain Standard time.
I was doubting myself there. I had the correct answer.
Well, I mean, Arizona's a state.
We don't get a lot of downtime to just go outside and frolic, except in the winter.
What do they need daylight savings time for? I mean, that's
the
already
farmers, we don't grow anything out there.
I'm saying in Arizona, that's a state with a lot of sun as it is.
Exactly, yeah. And I don't like it. I don't think we need it. I don't like that it gets dark at 4 p.m., 5 p.m. right now. I think we should all get rid of it.
Prefer the Arizona weather right now, though, compared to this.
That's true, but that's geographical. That's not really. Even if we kept the sun up for 1 more hour, that wasn't going to guarantee it would not be 30 degrees right now. So we'll see how it goes, though. We can survive another winter, right? Okay. Super excited to talk about Zach Ertz. He's from Alamo. It's my hometown.
I can't wait to talk about Zach Ertz. He's a long-time hero in Philadelphia. So
Oh, yeah, I remember he was there for the Super Bowl.
They love him in Philadelphia. They still do.
Teddy, we miss you.
Would have been nice to have Teddy here for the basketball segment because he loves basketball just as much as I do. So
That would have been fun to watch. We're not even looking at the Twitch. I'm curious if... Okay. I don't think anyone's commenting, so means we're doing good, I hope, right?
gonna do New York football first, then all the crazy games,
Okay.
then Thursday night football. Then we can end with Bills Chiefs.
Guru.com.
ESPN 97.7 and 100.1. Watch live on QSportsTalk.com. Tomorrow's broadcasting stars today. Broadcasting live from the campus of Syracuse University. This is Newhouse Afternoon.
Welcome back to Newhouse Afternoon on ESPN 97.7 and on QSportsTalk.com. This hour of Newhouse Afternoon is powered by Drivers Village Cicero. Go to dvoffers.com for more info. All right, Brooke, we have a lot going on in the NFL this upcoming Sunday, but we're just going to recap just a couple of the games that went on last week, starting with New York football here. The Bills beat the Colts 30-20 last Sunday, but Josh Allen didn't look great. 2 interceptions, but it was the defense that got the job done.
Yeah, definitely, man. Taking a look at this, the Bills, a top contender in the AFC right now, especially against the Chiefs, and 2 interceptions against Josh Allen is just crazy. I was not expecting to see that. And the Colts, 4-6 right now, put up 20 points against them. That's just a little crazy to see, especially against such a dominant Buffalo Bills defense right now.
Well, I mean, the defense was stellar, though. I mean, that touchdown did come in garbage time there. However, Joe Flacco, 3 interceptions on the day. And then because of that, the Bills defense, they forced Indianapolis to go back to Anthony Richardson.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, yeah. So, I mean, taking a look at the team stats real quick, Buffalo did put up 415 yards, and the Colts had 361 of their own. Looking at third down efficiency, Buffalo was about at half, and the Colts 4-11. So definitely a little bit better on the Bills side, but the Colts were still making it happen there. 61 total plays versus the Buffalo Bills 70. I mean, this was still a pretty, back and forth game, but, the Bills prevail at the end.
I mean, it wasn't pretty. It wasn't always pretty, but the Bills got the job done. And the fact of the matter is, I mean, they're among the top teams in the AFC right now, 8-2, and the division is theirs. I'm going to call it right now. You can stop the count. Whatever happens the rest of the year, the Bills have won the AFC North, or excuse me, the AFC East.
Yeah, I can see how that would happen. I mean, it's still, I want to talk about the AFC Championship. I think it's going to go back to Bills Chiefs, but it's going to depend on, if they can stay consistent, if the Chiefs ever lose a game too. I mean, you talk about that Chiefs-Broncos big game that just happened recently. It's just going to go down to the wire, seeing that these teams are so competitive. And Josh Allen, still high in the running. 280 yards is not something to, look past, even though he had the 2 interceptions. He's still playing relatively well.
Speaking of those Chiefs, 9-0 on the year, how lucky can they get?
Oh, my goodness gracious.
I mean, granted, I'll give him the credit on that last play of the game. Leo Chenal, he was one of 4 Chiefs that could have blocked that last kick. But they just find a way every single time.
Every single time.
I mean, how many one-score games this season? I think only one of their games this season, if I'm not mistaken,
I believe so
was
too.
not by one score. I mean, they just find a way every single time in close games. You know, the Lions found their way to win too.
Yep.
I mean, how about Jake Bates' 58-yard field goal to tie the game against Houston, 52-yard field goal to win it, and what? Both kicks went in by a combined centimeter.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking millimeters here. We're talking just inside the uprights by millimeters. I mean, it was something to watch. And then, you know, it's Detroit's always, they were a feel-good story last year, but now they're the force that has to be stopped in the NFC. I don't know if, you know, perhaps the Eagles. We'll see.
Oh, is that tying into our next topic of Thursday Night Football?
No, a little bit. You know, we have a huge Thursday Night Football game tonight. Eagles and Commanders. That game is for first place in the NFC East. The Eagles are rolling right now. They got their first win in Dallas for the first time since 2017.
Wow.
And then the last time they won in Dallas, well, they won the Super Bowl against the Patriots.
Good point. And talking about the Super Bowl, Zach Ertz. He's currently on the Commanders right now, but I know he's a big hometown hero to the Philadelphia Eagles.
Oh, absolutely. They love him and his wife, Julie. They've done a lot of great philanthropic, work for the city of Philadelphia.
Definitely, yeah. Fun fact, Zach Ertz is actually from the same hometown as me in Alamo, California. So that's a really cool little tidbit. He went to Monte Vista High School, was a big name there. So it's great to see him doing really well, especially in the NFL, even though he's on the opposite side for tonight's game. He had 4 receptions in the Steelers game for 31 yards, and he actually passed Greg Olson's 742 receptions for number 6 all-time in NFL history for receptions by a tight end. Wow. So he's making Alamo proud right now. I'm really proud of him. But yeah, it's going to be a bit of a close matchup. I mean, the Commanders lost their last game to the Steelers 28-27. Last week was a lot of close, intense, some heartbreaking moments, some great moments. It's just this game is also evident of that too. Fourth quarter touchdown pass with 2 minutes and 22 seconds left for the Steelers just kind of solidified that win at the end.
I mean, yeah, but it was also a rookie mistake. Rookie Johnny Newton jumping off sides for the Commanders. I mean, granted, Jaden Daniels was pedestrian on the day. He's been spectacular all year long, but the question is, are defenses starting to figure him out? I mean, just 5 yards rushing and then 17 out of 34 passing. I mean, this is a very good Steelers defensive unit. We'll have to see what Jaden Daniels can do tonight against an Eagles defense that only allowed Cooper Rush and Trey Lance to put up 6 points.
But also want to point out, he's just below Patrick Mahomes with 2,147 passing yards, 9 touchdowns, and just 2 interceptions on the season. He's below the MVP of several Super Bowls, and he's still continuing to progress. I mean, he's averaging 214.7 yards per game. That's not something to just look past. And yes, maybe his rushing skills aren't as fantastic, but he's still finding ways to connect in the end zone.
Well, I mean, it was fantastic to start the year. I mean, it's been just pedestrian the last couple weeks. But, this is a huge game. I mean, the NFC East, 21 straight seasons of a non-repeat winner, the longest streak in NFL history.
Wow.
I mean, and it's looking like it's going to happen again because I think we can write Dallas off. I think it's safe to write Dallas off right now. Dak Prescott out for the year.
Yeah.
Their quarterback situation, I'm not sure if they roll with Cooper Rush or Trey Lance going forward. I don't know what the play would be for, Jerry Jones is going to have to start taking a little more accountability there. But this is a 2-horse race right now. It's between these two teams, the Eagles and the Commanders. And I think I'm not going to go on to say that the winner of tonight's game will win the division, but it's going to be a good indicator. And this is we're perhaps looking at a playoff preview right here. I wouldn't mind seeing these two teams face each other in the wild card or even divisional round.
Well, I'm excited to see because if the Commanders win tonight, they move to 8-3, which is their best record through 11 games since 1996. I mean, I feel like you and I keep going back to record-breaking moments. Syracuse traveling to Cal for the first time in almost 30 years. Like, I feel like this is another one of those things. And they would also start 3-0 against NFC East opponents, which is also another record. So it's going to be a close matchup. I'm excited to see. I mean, we were talking about rushing. Washington Commanders currently are 4th in the NFL on rushing offense. So I have a little bit of faith in them there, but like you said, Philadelphia is, finding these quarterbacks. They're maximizing on their opportunities. I'm curious to see if Jaden Daniels is going to hit his running backs or if he's going to be forced to scramble just a little bit more on those.
I mean, it remains to be seen. All I know is that I'm going to have my popcorn out.
Good for you.
I'm going to have my popcorn out. What a game this is going to be. I mean, this is an absolute must-watch. Must-watch game tonight. You know what? Sunday, too. Bills and Chiefs. that's going to be must-watch football as well.
It always is. When is it
always
not?
is. I mean, I'll tell you what. I mean, Mahomes gets the upper hand when it matters. 3-0 against Josh Allen in the playoffs, but Josh Allen holds the 3-1 edge in the regular season.
Oh,
So do the Bills force the Chiefs' first loss of the year?
Kind of hoping for it. You know, Kansas is just sneaking by on these last-minute plays. I mean, again, we're going back to the Broncos game. Luck that they blocked the last field goal, and then they scoop out, making these big plays to remain 9-0 when there are some games where they should have definitely lost them, but they keep sneaking by at the last minute. So
you can make a case for them losing half their games
yeah,
this year.
I would agree with that, definitely. But I mean, it's gonna be definitely an intense game. A lot of people are claiming that they're not happy that the Chiefs are 9-0, like you were just saying. They should be kind of 5-4 or 4-5 even, something like that. So we're going to have to see how this game goes.
We already wrote off the Dallas Cowboys, another team that I already wrote off on Halloween, by the way. I already wrote off the Jets 2 weeks ago. For those of you that tuned into the Twitch, I had a Plague Doctor mask on Halloween to signify the end of the Jets season. Now, they made me eat crow that night.
Yes.
They went out to beat a good Texans team who gave the Lions everything they could handle. But no, they got blown out in the desert against the Cardinals, and I'm sure Teddy is thrilled.
Teddy is probably dancing with joy right now that we're mentioning this. So there you go, Teddy. Your Cardinals are currently 6-4, doing really, really well in the NFC West at the moment, which to me is surprising considering the past decade of seasons that they've been playing not so good. So
I mean, is the retirement writing on the wall for Aaron Rodgers? Is he washed?
It might be 151 yards. I'm just not seeing a lot out of him, especially with 22 out of 35 completions. He made the completions, but were they the right decisions, I would have to say.
The offense just can't get anything going.
Nope.
I mean, that's all it is. I mean, the offense can't get anything going right now. Meanwhile, the Giants, they were probably happy to take a loss in the long run. I mean, at least Giants fans, at the very least. Tyrone Tracy Jr. had a fantastic game in Munich. But fumbling in overtime, Giants get the close win. They can go out in the offseason, look at the draft, get their franchise quarterback, because I don't think Daniel Jones is the guy.
Sometimes you just have to take the losses as they come and just look towards the future. It's no fun to have to suffer through a season like this, especially for Giants fans. 2 interceptions on Daniel Jones, 190 yards total, and your most receiving yards, 51 by Wan'Dale Robinson. Like, it's just, you might have to just take the punches as they come and hope for that really high draft pick. I mean, no team wants that. You always want to see your team do well, but in this case, you got to kind of take what you get and accept it.
I mean, let me just shout out the German people, though. I mean, because they were dealt probably the worst hand they could have been dealt with. I mean, of all the games, I'm sure Germany's excited, to host an NFL game, and then what do we get? What do we give them?
2-8 New York Giants and a 3-7 Carolina Panthers.
Yes. Panthers. Well, you know what? They were still having a great time singing "Country Roads." At the top of their lungs.
Good for them.
They still found a way to enjoy the game, and it ended up being a pretty good game. So
yeah, definitely. I mean, have you seen the different sports that Germany puts on? They know how to have a good time. I believe, if I remember correctly, they have football on ice skates. So it's like a combination of American football with hockey, and the commentators are hilarious, just yelling things in German. You can hear the American football words in there a couple of times, but definitely the Germans know how to do American football.
That would be quite the spectacle. I mean, I would love to be there for Oktoberfest one of these years.
Me too.
Yeah, after this short 4-minute break, we'll be back with NBA and NHL talk. You are listening to Newhouse Afternoon on ESPN 97.7. Watch us on Twitch at qsportstalk.com.
This is Orange.
Free.
How did you feel holding down the fort for NFL?
It was fine. Not my most knowledgeable topic, but
we kind of rolled a little bit too far away from New York football, considering we said we were going to start with it.
That's fair.
But then we found our way back.
You found your way back with the Jets,
yeah.
It's just when they don't do well, it's just, besides the Bills, Giants and the Jets are a hard conversation, so. Do you want me to ask this question? What's your case for the Brooklyn Nets? Cool. Starting 2 new segments today, guys.
You want to check the Twitch?
Nothing.
Watch your favorite ESPN Syracuse sports talk shows on QSportsTalk.com. Tomorrow's broadcasting stars today. Broadcasting live from the campus of Syracuse University. This is Newhouse Afternoon.
Welcome back to Newhouse Afternoon on ESPN 97.7 and on QSportsTalk.com. We've got the NBA to talk about, Brooke.
Yes, we do. I mean, Cedric, I think we're going to call this Ced's TED Talk because I think you got a case to make for the Brooklyn Nets. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yes, I do. The Brooklyn Nets, this is a team where they're going to play back-to-back games against the crosstown rivals in the Garden, the New York Knicks. We've got Nets-Knicks 2 times in the upcoming few days here. The first game is an NBA Cup game. But you know what? The Knicks haven't been much better than the Nets this year, ever since they made that huge trade for Mikal Bridges. I mean, look at the return the Nets got. 5 first-round picks in that one. I mean, it's starting to look more and more like a Nets win in that trade. I mean, it's too early to say, but I mean, this is a team. This is a team that was supposed to tank for Cooper Flagg. This was a team that was projected to get the lowest amount of wins on the season to start the year, and it's not trending that way. It is early. But they've been very, very competitive with the best teams in the NBA. I mean, we'll take what happened in Boston yesterday out of account. I mean, they got blown out by Boston yesterday by 25 points, but that is not indicative of how hard this team has been playing all year long. Cam Thomas, Dennis Schroeder, they've been putting up big numbers. You've got Nick Claxton, Cam Johnson. Ben Simmons is all right when he plays. he's never really going to live up to that contract, But this is a team that is competitive. This is a team that is fun to watch. And as of right now, if the season ended today, I know it's only 12 games in, but they would be a play-in team right now, which is something to be said for a team that was projected to go 18-64 on the season. They still might. They still might. But again, this is a team that was supposed to tank and then be in contention for a loaded draft class with the likes of Cooper Flagg, Ace Bailey, Dylan Harper, and company. And instead, they found themselves a great coach, and I don't know now if you should still go all out in losing. I think you've got a good core right now. Do you break this up?
No, that's definitely a great question there. And I mean, can you give me a score prediction for tonight's game? I'd love to hear your predictions for that.
Well, I mean, for the Nets and the Knicks, you know what? The Knicks are 5-6 on the year. The Nets are 5-7. And we haven't seen that chemistry yet out of the Knicks stars.
Still too early.
They broke up the Villanova. They broke up the whole Villanova tandem by sending DiVincenzo over to Minnesota. But with all the talent they have, it's not time to ring the alarm bells yet.
Okay.
But Knicks fans are going to want to start to see some winning, and it's going to have to start against the Nets. I think the Nets take at least one of those games. I don't know what. My prediction is that it's going to be a split between the two teams. I don't think the Knicks sweep this one. Give me the Nets to win one of those two games.
All right. Well, I'm loving the confidence over there. I don't know if the same could be said on the NHL side of things. We're going to start something called Brooks Babble. I'm going to give you a little brief on all the New York teams that we should be paying attention to, mostly the Islanders and the Rangers for the moment. The Islanders are at the Canucks tonight. They unfortunately lost on Tuesday in overtime, a 4-3 overtime loss to the Edmonton Oilers over there. Anders Lee had 2 goals. He has 3 goals and 5 assists over the last 6 games. Definitely the Islanders' kind of star-studded player at the moment. We've got Kyle Palormi, 1 goal. He moved ahead of Brock Nelson for the team lead in goals, 7 so far, and passed Bo Horvath for a team-high 14 points in 16 games. But what's the issue? I mean, they've gone to overtime in 7 of their first 16 games, and, not doing as great as other Islander fans would have loved at the moment, but they're still producing points. So they are going up against the Canucks tonight, which should be relatively good matchup. We're seeing a lot of goal scoring. We're seeing some good defense. I mean, Ilya Sorokin has kept them from falling further with his solid play so far this season. He's now 4-3-3, so those 3 overtime losses that we just discussed on the season, holding a solid, 2.6 goals allowed per game and a .915 save percentage. That's relatively fantastic with the amount of losses that they've taken. They also have the most penalty kills this season, and they've killed 22 of those, which is incredible to see. So Islanders are keeping their head high, second straight overtime loss on them as well. Scored 3 or more goals in the last 5 of their 6 games. They're still tied for 26th in goals with 2.5 goals per game.
Well, let's go elsewhere in the Big Apple. What can you tell me about the Rangers?
So the Rangers take on the Sharks tonight. They lost on the road, or they lost in Madison Square Garden. That was their 3rd on ice loss since its quick start. The Rangers have never, they never led during that game. They kind of fell behind 57 seconds into the context in that 6-3 loss to the Winnipeg Jets recently. The Jets have also been on fire. Talk about that really quickly. No one was expecting them to do very well, and then, they've come to fruition, as I would say. So the Rangers have a bit of a battle tonight. The Sharks aren't doing too well as expected, since the Sharks, kind of did fall last place in the NHL last season. But, the Rangers have won each of their last 10 home games following a home loss. So tonight, maybe the chance to turn it around. We'll have to see, especially since the Sharks, I want to point out, are doing very, very well. Mikhail Grunland, he's got 18 points so far, 7 goals, 11 assists. 3 of those have been on power play. So we're going to have to see how the Rangers goaltenders are going to hold up against them tonight. So.
Yeah, well, there you go. What are the biggest, outside of the New York teams? Because we're going to continue Brooks Babble on here. Let us know on Twitch, guys, if you like this segment. But what are the biggest surprises you've seen?
Biggest surprise this week in the NHL. Utah took a really big win yesterday over the Carolina Hurricanes. Karol Vejmelka did a phenomenal job, stopped 49 of 50 shots that approached him last night. So that was kind of a big statement when, the Utah Hockey Club, I really don't like saying that. I need a mascot name behind Utah.
It's giving Washington football team.
It is giving
vibes.
Washington football team. Thank you. I'm glad someone else said it. But, they kind of came out really strong. They've been kind of on a downward trend for a little while, but, they're slowly starting to come back in. It was nice to see Vejmelka getting some touches last night in place of Connor Ingram, who has also not been doing too great on his end, but Utah kind of stormed over the top of the Carolina Hurricanes, so that was kind of a twist that I was not expecting to see. I'm totally not a fan of the Utah Hockey Club, so, I don't pay attention to them at all, as you can tell. So,
well, we could end this babble by staying local here. I see that you've got the Syracuse Crunch to talk about as well.
Yes, I do. They were on the road last night at Belleville and took a 4-1 victory there in CAA Arena. Kind of big, Nico Houghton led the team with 2 goals and assists. He scored his first professional goal towards the start of the season and has been a really reliable performer for the Crunch ever since then. Derek Pouliot, assisted as well on there. The Crunch are currently 6-5-1 on the season, and they're doing pretty well against the Senators, 3-1 so far in an 8-game season series. Brandon Halverson, turned aside 27-28. No fourth career shutout for him, but he's still doing fantastic. Good to see that, 2 for 2 on the power play and 5 of 6 on the penalty kill. So like I said, with the Islanders, who are doing very well on their penalty kill, Syracuse Crunch also did very well last night. So that is your local update for the Syracuse Crunch.
And that has been Cedric's TED Talk and Brooks Babble. After this short 4-minute break, we'll be back with our Syracuse Sports Roundup. You're listening to Newhouse Afternoon on ESPN 97.7. Watch us on Twitch at qsportstalk.com.
Saturday, the Orange head west to face Cal as an ace.
My brain's not working right now. Oh, I should have done more on the Rangers. I was so focused on the Islanders. I was like, Islanders. Oh, nothing for the Rangers. So we've got...
So Jordan, remind me, the hard out is at 55:20?
So we've got 13 minutes to talk Syracuse sports. We
No,
could do that.
No, after the break, we're going to have about 10 minutes.
I completely forgot about the break.
I've got a bit to say here about the basketball, so it should be no problem.
I think I think field hockey is kind of the biggest conversation right now. But then, definitely basketball right after. But we can talk about volleyball. We don't have to. If it seems like we're talking more Faki and then Mobaba and Wobaba, we can do that as well.
We could throw in. We could just.
I just want to, because they got their second ACC win.
We could just shout them out. It could be like a 20-second.
Yeah.
You want to do that?
Yeah. Kira Ganesharada.
But this is what I have.
Throwing fist bumps everywhere. Yeah. Here, I'll go into slideshow mode too, so we can.
I was just gonna give them a little.
Yeah.
Shout out and what's next,
Yep.
But.
You have Georgia Tech is 15th. I have them as 16th.
I don't know. On the website, it says number 15, Cuse.com.
Let's check that. Because now I'm a little scared. Maybe they updated it. Oh, yeah, it's updated. Okay, I must have been looking at a different. I was looking at the recap, and that was not before they released the standings. Do you have anything else today? Do you have anything else today?
Like to talk about? Just
No, I meant like your day.
Oh, we have a town hall at 5 o'clock.
Oh, is that for a class or are you going for fun?
No, it's with Professor Stomsky. We just kind of round up with her and ask her questions.
Oh, I didn't realize. I thought you meant like a Syracuse City town hall. I was like, what?
Like
what do you have to petition?
SMC town hall.
SMC town hall. Okay,
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you. It's like, man, getting involved in local government. I love to see it, Cedric.
Well, the election races around here were very close.
Yes.
I know that one of them still hasn't even been called yet, between I think Pero and Chris Ryan. That's for state senator, still hasn't been called. I think they're literally within 20 votes of each other.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Arizona literally just called it like yesterday
It took
or
a long time
2 days
to call
ago.
it.
Yeah.
They were the last state.
Yeah, we were.
Called.
Oh. 50th state, baby. No, I'm kidding.
I want to check the chat if there's any.
No.
Oh, just the announcements. Okay. So just remember, looking at that clock there, we got to do the outro by 55:10.
I've got you. We can talk for 8 minutes. We got that. But yeah, my volleyball preview. I'm gonna talk about second ACC victory, and then Bakir Ganesharadam fist bumped Ava Palm after a fantastic kill, and it was hilarious. And he also got his 200th win with that. So.
Yeah, I'll let you take the reins on the volleyball.
I'm not gonna talk for very long. I don't have much on it.
It should just be a minute or less, honestly. Just
and then we go.
I'll kind of give you like a tap if like I want to get to the basket, because I do want to get to the basketball.
No, that's I've got stuff on basketball, so we should be good. Especially Mobaba, because we covered that game for Citrus, so I got to watch that real time. So much fun. Oh, get the Utica comments. Syracuse Crunch territory.
ESPN 97.7 and 100.1. Watch live on QSportsTalk.com. Tomorrow's broadcasting stars today. Broadcasting live from the campus of Syracuse University. This is Newhouse Afternoon.
Welcome back to Newhouse Afternoon on ESPN 97.7 and on QSportsTalk.com. We've got our Syracuse Sports Roundup to cap off this show, and field hockey. Big NCAA tournament match tomorrow.
Yes.
Number 11 Syracuse taking on number 10 Harvard.
Yep, that's going to be an exciting matchup. Harvard comes out of their regular season as the Ivy League tournament champions, so that's going to be a bit of a exciting matchup. You know, they've got two girls on the team who hold the team lead in goals 9 and then points 20 this season. It's going to be a bit of an intense matchup. We're going to see, you know, Syracuse fell short in the semifinals of the ACC tournament there. Can they get it going in the NCAA tournament, do you think, Cedric?
I mean, look, it's all going to come down to the stick of Bo Van Kempen.
Yes.
She is the heart and soul of this team. 15 goals on the season, doubling up all of her teammates. You know, if she can get going, anything is possible for this team. They can make a deep run in this tournament. I mean, with a win Friday, the Orange would move on to the NCAA tournament quarterfinals for the 4th straight season, and they'd be the only team in the ACC with that active streak, and this is the toughest conference in collegiate field hockey.
Definitely, yes. And I want to talk about Bo Van Kempen for just a second. You know, she's leading the Orange offense, like we just said, with the number of goals and points. She's also very deadly on the penalty corner, so Syracuse can set themselves up for success there. She should, you know, be taking advantage of that. She is on the back line. You know, you compare it to hockey, defensemen don't tend to score as much, but she's leading the team, which is incredible to see. Her versatility and her adaptability have contributed heavily to this Orange, you know, this Orange success, and hopefully we see a little bit more of that and we can continue that amazing run that they're on right now.
And that big game against Harvard set for tomorrow at 2:30 local time. It should be a good one.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how about Syracuse volleyball with their second ACC win of the year?
I thought you'd never ask, Cedric. Yeah, Syracuse took their second ACC victory in a long time with a reverse sweep against Notre Dame. They were down in the second set, came back and won it 3-2 in that 5th set. And I want to talk about, there's this great play where Ava Palm gets this fantastic kill in the middle of the court, and head coach Bakir Ganesharadam goes over and he fist bumps her. And it's this fun little moment because he was also getting ready to celebrate his 200th win as a Syracuse head volleyball coach.
Big milestone.
So that is a very big milestone. Glad to see that happened, and he had a lot of success with his team. Syracuse volleyball is on the road at number 15. They just moved up in the rankings. Had it as 16. They just were promoted to number 15, Georgia Tech, and then they go on the road to play Clemson right after.
I mean, look at the strides this team has made. I mean, 2-12 in ACC play on paper, you know, is nothing to be proud about, but then it's like, no, not really, though, because this is a team that had no ACC wins last year, 2 wins on the season last year.
Yep, they're 2-20, that 2-26 season. They're basically matching with the ACC wins, which is really cool to see. And being there, I was actually at the game on Sunday, and the energy in the crowd, the energy with the team, Notre Dame, they are lower in the ACC, but they put up a fight too. It's not just like Syracuse came in and ran. They had to fight for that victory, and it was great to see that team came back. We've seen other games, especially against Louisville, where they kind of let Louisville take them down. It was close, 25-21 in the first set there, but then they kind of fell apart. Syracuse didn't let that happen against Notre Dame on Sunday.
Also in action this past couple days was Syracuse basketball, men's and women's.
Whoop, whoop.
Talking about the men's basketball team here, 2 games that were way too close for comfort.
Way too close. Especially since Lemoyne, was recently promoted to D1. You would expect Syracuse men's basketball, having played in the ACC, being such a dominant program under Jim Boeheim and now Adrian Autry, they almost fell to them. And let's talk about Colgate. That was a 2-point difference. If Syracuse hadn't, stabilized towards the end, they could have lost that game to Colgate, and that would have been a very devastating loss.
3 straight missed free throws on 1-on-1 opportunities down the stretch for Syracuse, 2 of them by Jair Davis, who was the leading scorer against Lemoyne, and they got very, very lucky because Luis Jacques, got a pass from Jalen Cox, who was Colgate's leading scorer. They have a chance there to put up a 3 to win the game. And instead, Luis Jacques loses it out of bounds, buzzer sounds. Syracuse survives by the skin of their teeth.
Yes, definitely. But some positives to note in that Colgate game. Setter and Eddie Lampkin, the transfer from Colorado, was just fantastic. 15 points, 12 rebounds. If you watched the press conference game, Adrian Autry was very proud of their rebounding ability. Definitely said they should have put up more points off of those 45 rebounds, but he was extremely proud. And, Lampkin contributed 12 of those, which was great. The 5 assists. Something that I noticed was there was no dominant scorer for Syracuse's offense. It was a very big spread. You have J.J. Starling putting up 12, Chris Bell 14, and then Lampkin, like we just said, 15. It was just interesting to see that there's no real leading scorer like there was a Judah Mintz last season. It seems to be very spread. Do you think that's a good thing or a bad thing, Cedric?
No, I think that's a good thing. I think good balanced scoring, those are the type of teams that make deep runs in the NCAA tournament.
Exactly.
Can they get back to the tournament? That's going to be a whole other conversation entirely. They're going to have to start winning these games more convincingly, and they have another chance to do that against Youngstown State on Saturday. Now, in the post-game, you talked about the press conference of Coach Autry. He said that, this is a team with a lot of new pieces, and it's going to take them longer to gel, than it took last year's team. The team chemistry isn't all there yet. And he also said that he's introducing a much faster pace, much faster style of play. He's talking 20 to 25 more possessions a game. That's inevitably going to lead to more points for the opponents.
Yes, definitely. And also, less points scored by your offense because there's more of a margin to make errors, like missing your free throws or missing your layups on that sense. So the fact that they, did pretty well with this new fast-paced mentality, that's good to see. But against teams like Colgate and against teams like, Lemoyne, that shouldn't be happening. If you're going to practice your fast-paced offense, you should be having a bit of more, dominant performance than 74 to 72.
And moving on to Syracuse women's basketball, they played tough against 11th ranked Maryland. They fall in that game 84 to 73. Coach Leggett Jack, said on defense that there were some problems with the rotation there. She admitted to that. She said that she put the wrong kids in at the wrong time, but at the end of the day, it was a better performance in that game compared to St. John's.
Definitely. this is Syracuse first, they start
St. Joe's, excuse me.
It's okay. Syracuse starts the season below 500 after 3 games for the first time since 2006. That was the year after I was born. So it's been a while. Yeah. So it's
making me feel old.
I know, sorry, my bad. It's just interesting to see, how it's going to go, what the process is going to look like. Georgia Woolley was the leader with 17 points. She went 7 of 17, just under half from the field goal, from the field, and made 50% of her three-pointers. So I'm just curious to see, without De'Asia Fair, there's Georgia Woolley going to be the main scorer for the Syracuse women's basketball team? Are they going to try and take an approach like Syracuse men's basketball, where there's a division of, scorers? I'm just curious to see what's going to happen.
I mean, Georgia Woolley played all 40 minutes, and she said in the post-game press conference that she is prepared to do that, but it's obviously not an ideal situation. And Syracuse came into this game winning 27 in a row in the non-conference, and this is a team that finished tied for second in the ACC last year, and now they've dropped their last two.
Yep, I agree. So, but that's not to say that this performance was not good in any sense. You're taking on the number 11th ranked team, Maryland, and you put up 73 points on them. They're doing a pretty good job.
That'll do it for this episode of Newhouse Afternoon. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We will be back with Teddy, hopefully, in
Hopefully,
3 weeks. 3 weeks. We'll be off for the Thanksgiving day. We won't have a show in 2 weeks, but you'll see us in 3 weeks and back with a new crew tomorrow.
This is Orange Nation.
Would you let Mike Tyson punch you in the head for $40 million?
No.
Yes.
You might not be here.
I don't care. My family will live happily ever after.
Can I bob, weave, hands up? Can I do anything?
Yes, you can try and get out of the way.
If I can duck, I'm doing it. He's never fought somebody this height. I'm going under.